if you have a coffee lover in your life that you want to give a few K-Cups to and even a gift card, I'm going to show you how you can make this really quick and easy. This is a great project that you can use your scraps from paper kits, because you can see here that like these pieces here are pretty small. So if you have a lot of tiny scraps left over that you don't know what to do with, this is the perfect size box to use those up. And if you want to use this for a gift for somebody who maybe doesn't drink coffee or doesn't have a Keurig, I'm going to show you how you can do this same box style gift card holder, but you don't have to put these holes in, and you can fill it with other goodies too. To get started on the box part of the K-Cup holder, you're going to need 2 sheets of cardstock. One I'm just going to leave at 8.5 by 11. I don't need to cut that one down at all. And the other part I'm going to cut down to 5 and 7 3/4. So if you're mass producing these, I already cut this on the 8.5 side down to 7 3/4. And because this is an 11-inch piece of cardstock, I'll be able to get 2 pieces out of this one. So if you're going to mass produce these for, say, your neighbors or maybe friends or family, you'll be able to get 2 of these made out of just 3 pieces of cardstock. So if you use 2 whole sheets of 8.5 by 11, and then you take the third one and you can cut it down to 2 pieces that are 5 by 7 3/4. This is a great way. You only have a few little scraps left over, and because I'm using black cardstock, I probably won't hang on to these, but if you're using white, you can keep those if you want to stamp any sentiments on them. Now I'm going to get started on my scoring. In my scoreboard here, I have my 8.5 by 11 sheet, and I have it on the 8.5 side. So what I'm going to do on this side, I'm going to score at 1 3/4, and then I'm going to turn it the whole way around. So my score line's on the right here, and I'm going to score at 1 3/4 on this side also. So that way I have 1 3/4 on both sides. Then I'm going to turn it to my 11-inch side, and on the 11-inch side, I'm going to score at 2.5, at 5, at 7.5, and at 10. For the smaller piece of cardstock that I cut down, which is 5 by 7 3/4, I have it in on the 7 3/4 inch side, and we just need 1 score mark, which is going to be 2 3/4. Now back to the 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. You can see that the score marks we made going down are all even, and then we have a shorter section here. So with this section, I need to do some cutting. I want to get rid of both of the rectangles on either side of this longer, shorter piece here. So I'm going to go in with my scissors, and I'm actually cutting out the score line completely. And what that means is, instead of cutting inside the score line, I'm cutting it away. So you can see how there's the score line here. Now it's gone from here and here. So I'm going to repeat that again on this side. I'm just going to go in and cut this rectangle out, and I'm making sure that I cut that score line completely with it. So that just eliminates any bulk that there may be there. Now on the rest of the card, everywhere that there's a line coming up, everywhere there's an intersection, I'm going to do angle cuts to eliminate those score lines, and this will also help whenever I go to fold up my box, that it'll take all of the bulk out. So you can see I'm just cutting a pie shape on either side of the score line there. It doesn't have to be real big. You just need a little sliver out on each side, just to make sure, like I said, when you fold that up, it eliminates a lot of the bulk. So on this last one here, you can see I'm doing another little pie shape on each side of the score mark. And then this last tab that's right here, I'm just going to do 1 angle up to that other score mark. So you can see this side is straight where we have this little tab here. And then everywhere else there was a score mark, I cut a little pie shape out, and then I cut an angle on the end. And I'm going to go ahead and repeat that on this side as well. Okay, so you can see here I have everything cut away. I cut away the 2 rectangles up here, I cut all my pie shapes going down, and I have just a small angle on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead now and start folding everything up. I'm just going to give it a light press for now. I'm not too worried about really burnishing down these score marks yet. I just want to make sure they all start going in the right direction. And that means I'm just folding everything up so it can close into a box. And the same thing with the tabs. I'm not worried if they're really burnished down at this point. I'm just getting them going in the right direction. So all the tabs are going to be folded in towards the center of the box. Now before I put the box together, I do need to create the openings for the 2 K-cups if you're choosing to. You don't have to. You can leave all of this solid and you can just make this little box filled with goodies. But I do want to keep this as a K-cup holder to give to somebody. So to create my holes, I'm using a 2-inch scallop punch. And what I'm going to do here, because I need this tab to be able to seal the box shut, but I can't go past this tab with this punch and get the circles where I need it. So I'm going to need to fold this tab up and then I'll be able to place my circles here. Now what I went ahead and did was I measured this out to try and figure out where the center of each of my circles would need to be. And if you put a little dot at 1 1/4, so let me do that here. Let me get this ruler in here. Okay, so if you put a little pencil mark about halfway up at 1 1/4 and at 3 3/4. So you can see it's about halfway up this way and it's at 1 1/4 and 3 3/4. And remember, I have this little flap folded up. So I'm going to take my 2-inch scallop punch. I'm going to slide it in and I'm going to center that pencil mark as best as I can inside this circle, and I'm going to punch. And when I did that, you can see, because I had that flap folded up, it cut a small circle out here too, which is fine. We just need a little bit of a flap here to close the box. So again, I'm going to close my flap. I'm going to place my punch over my pencil mark. I'm going to try to center it as best as I can. If it's a little off, it's no biggie. Punch that out. Slide that out careful, because sometimes these scallops can be a little tricky. I think you could use just a regular circle punch too, but I only had a 2-inch and a scallop, so that's what I used. So you can see there's a little scallop punched out here and here. That doesn't matter. I just need a little bit of this tab to be able to glue my box shut. But now my circles are already in place for my K-cups. And on the sample that I had showed you, I held on to these and I created little embellishments on the box for those. We'll get to that in a minute. So don't throw these away, just put these to the side. These little ones, I mean, if you want to create another kind of embellishment out of these half circles, you can. I'm not going to. All right, now that I have all my lines cut, my circles are punched, everything is ready to put together. So I'm going to start by building the body of the box first, and because I have this little flap here, I'm going to add some of my glue right to the edges of this flap in all of the areas that didn't get cut away. There's a little bit across the top and then on each side. Anywhere you can get glue is fine. And then I'm just going to take the other edge of the box and I'm just going to line it up. I like to use wet glue here because it gives me a little bit of time to play around and get everything lined up nice before I push it down. If you would use a sticky tape, you would run the risk of getting it in place and not having it exactly where you want it to be, and then it's stuck there. But with the wet glue, you have a couple minutes. You have a couple minutes to play around and make sure that it's stuck where you want it to be. So now that I have everything lined up pretty well, I'm going to go ahead and just take my bone folder and rub it in there inside of the circles. I'm just being careful with those scallops so that I don't accidentally bend or tear any of those, but I'm making sure that this glue is really in place on the box. And you can see the body of our box is already starting to come together. Now for the sides of the box, I am going to be putting printed cardstock on the sides, so I don't have to worry about these flaps, you know, how they're going to look or anything, because it's all going to get covered up with the cardstock. So, but what I like to do is I like to do the sides first. So here's the top of my box. So I'm going to place one side in. I'm going to add just a little bit of glue on the one tab, fold the second side in, get my bottom one in place. Actually, I'll put more glue on the bottom one here. And then I'm going to fill the top flap with glue. And then here's where, since I'm using this wet adhesive and I have a couple extra minutes, I can really take my time here and make sure that my box is nice and squared up before all of that gets pushed down. And then because we have these K-cup openings here on the top, I can run my finger or my bone folder in there and really just make sure that all of those flaps are nice and adhered down. And see, that looks nice and finished on the side, even if you wouldn't cover it with cardstock, but I'm going to cover it with some pattern paper anyway, because I just like that. So on the other side, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to start with the two side flaps again. I'm going to put one flap in, add just a little bit of glue to that, add my second flap. Don't worry if they're not really stuck down yet. It's not a big deal. And then I'll get some glue on my bottom flap, fold that up, get glue on my top flap, and when I pull this one down, that's when I'm going to make sure that everything is nice and squared up on my box before I really start pushing it down. And again, because that opening's there, I can just take my bone folder in there and burnish it all down and make sure that all of the glue is adhered. So there's the bottom part of our box. Pretty easy. Now for the back part of the K-cup holder, we're going to use this smaller piece that we had cut to 5 7 3/4. And remember, we just did the one score mark here. I'm just going to go ahead and fold that up. And for this, I need it to lay pretty flat. So I'm going to give it a good burnish with my bone folder here. And before I glue this down, I'm going to take my gift card. And yeah, I know this is not a gift card. It's a room key, but I didn't have a gift card in my craft room, but I did have an old room key for some reason. So I'm going to line this up, and I'm going to make sure that the gift card is lined up with the right side of this. So here's my score line, and here's my score line. Here's the gift card lined up with the right hand side. And the reason I'm doing this is because since this is a lot longer than what the gift card is going to be, I want to glue this down so that it stops. I don't want this to just like float the whole way through, because it's going to be really hard to get back out if all of this is open. So that's why I want to line this up, and this score line that I gave you, this measurement, it gives you a little bit of wiggle room to play around with. You can see there's a lot of room on each side of the gift card here. So that way you have a little bit of room to play with. So I'm going to move my gift card down about 1/8 of an inch from my score line. I'm lining it up on the right side. And then what I'm going to do is place a line of glue about 1/8 of an inch away from the bottom of the gift card. So I'm going to do a line of glue over here. And then I'm just going to run one line of glue across the top here. So this will create my gift card pocket. And then I can close this down. Oh, I put the, yeah. Close this down. Make sure that glue is really stuck before you try out the pocket. And then you can see here where my pocket is for my gift card. There we go. I can slide this in and it'll stop. It's not going to go floating the whole way to this side. It's going to stop on this side. And I am going to cut a little finger notch out there. We'll do that in a minute. So, like I said, again, lay your gift card here before you glue it down, just to give you an idea of where you need to put glue. Make sure you glue all of this down. That way when you slide it in, it'll stop and it won't go floating to the other side, and it won't be hard to get out. Now I want to attach this part to the box before I start decorating everything. So you can see here, this is that line. This is where we folded the flap down. It's right here. So I'm going to make sure that my box is glued right up against that line. This isn't going to come down quite the whole way along the back side of the box, but it'll be close enough, and it'll help add just a bit of stability to this box as well. And in case you're curious, I do like to use the art glitter glue when I'm doing paper crafts. I like that it dries fast, and I like that it doesn't warp paper or anything like that. And again, now that I have my box in place, I'm going to use my bone folder and really get inside these circles to get that adhered down. So you can't see it anymore, but the line where we had folded this down is lined up with the top of the box now. And on the back side here, see, it comes down almost to the bottom. I left about a 1/4 inch gap there, but I'm going to cover all this with designer paper, so you won't be able to see that anyway. I'm going to start cutting out all of my pattern paper, and I've been using this collection for a while. It's called Here Comes Santa Claus by Echo Park. I'm not even sure if they make this collection anymore because I've had it for a while, but I'm going to go ahead. You can see I've already cut into this piece. This was a 12 by 12. I love this plaid, so I'm going to go ahead. I think I can get all of the pieces that I need from this one paper. And this doesn't have a direction to it, a plaid like this, so that's another reason that I like to use a print like this, because I don't really have to worry if I have to piece a few things together. I don't have to worry about what direction it's going. So I'm going to start by cutting this piece down to 4 3/4, because most of the measurements we need will be 4 3/4 inches wide. So now that I have that, I'm going to cut from that one piece that is 2 1/2. One piece that is 5, one piece that is 2 1/4, and then let's see how long this one is. It's not quite long enough. So from the piece that's left over, I'm going to cut 2 1/4 by 2 1/4, and I need 2 pieces of those. So here's one piece of 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. And do you see what I mean? Since I'm using a plaid, it doesn't matter that I'm cutting in a different direction than I cut the first one, because the pattern doesn't have a direction to it. So when you're using up scraps like this, you want to maybe make sure that you're using a pattern that doesn't have a direction. So again, that's one piece that's 4 3/4 by 2 1/2, one that's 4 3/4 by 5, one that's 4 3/4 by 2 1/4, and then 2 that are 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. And I'll have all of these measurements listed in the description box, so you don't have to worry about remembering all these. They'll be down there for you. So I'm going to start on the back here. This is my 4 3/4 by 5 inch piece. And you can see on the back here it has these little nutcrackers. They're really cute, but like I said, since they go in a direction, I just figured the plaid would be a little bit easier. Plus, I just really love plaid at Christmas. So I'm going to glue this down onto the back, and you can see here, that's why I said it doesn't matter that there was a little bit of a gap at the bottom here where that backer piece didn't go down the whole way, because this is going to cover it up anyway. Now, I didn't cut a piece for the very bottom of the box because you're not going to be able to see it anyway. I'll put my front piece down next. I also didn't cut a piece that goes on the top where the K-cups slip in, because I thought that would be a little bit tricky to get those circles in the right places. But if you're not going to put the circles in, then you could cut another piece down to go on there. Now this one I'm going to put on the very front here where the gift card is going to go. Alright, and then these 2 smaller square pieces are going to go on each side. And you'll be able to see here too, once I get it on the side here, why it didn't really matter so much which flaps you glued in what order, because you can't see the flaps anyway now that we have the paper on there. And I always like to add paper on sides of boxes like this too, because it just makes it feel a little bit thicker and sturdier whenever you have those extra layers of cardstock on your boxes that you're giving as gifts. Now, like this box isn't going to be opened and closed, so if you wanted to create the whole box just out of pattern paper, you could do that too. Alright, now that I have everything covered, I'm going to go in. This is just a 1-inch circle punch, and that's what I'm going to use to create the finger hold. Now, we have to remember there's 4 layers of cardstock here, so I do have a punch that is for thicker materials. If you don't have one that's for thicker materials, you may want to punch this finger hole before you put everything together, just because I don't know, you know, whatever punch you're using, it may not go through 4 sheets of cardstock, but you can see that one there. It goes through really nice. And now there's a little notch here, so when I slide my gift card in, they'll be able to see it. Because if you don't put this little notch here, they may not even know that this opens up and that there's a gift card inside there for them. So see, there's a little opening there, so they'll be able to tell that there's a gift card in there. Now that my box is all put together, I'm going to work on these two little scallop circles that I had cut out for the openings of the K-Cups. And I just have a scrap piece of white cardstock here. I'm going to cut out two circles that are 1.5 inches. And I apologize because you guys know that I usually do voiceovers on my videos. So I am able to check, my monitor on my camera and stuff as I'm working to make sure that I'm always in frame. And when I'm doing my Dollar Tree DIYs, like the home decor thing, I have my camera moved up a lot farther, so I have a bigger space to work in. So I'm not entirely used to working in a smaller area like this, so if I go out of screen once in a while, I do apologize. I'm trying my best to stay in screen, but it'll get better as I go. I'll get more used to the area that I'm in. That's another reason that I'm working on this grid mat, to make sure that I'm in frame for the most part. Now I'm going to take advantage of the sticker sheet that came with this collection, and that's what I'm going to put on my two little circles to decorate my box. You could do as much decorating as you want on this. I mean, you could go to town adding ribbons, bows, different tags. If you want to hand make tags to put on there, you don't even have to use these little scallop circles. I just figured it was a shame to not use them since I punched them out and they're so cute. So I'm going to look for some stickers that will fit inside of these for the most part. I mean, if it comes off a little bit, that's okay too. But these stickers are so cute. It would look cute just to have some of these going across the box themselves without the little circles. But like I said, I want to use the circles because they just are so cute. So I think this one should fit pretty good. And like I said, if it doesn't fit exactly on it, it's okay. It's still going to be really pretty. So we got a little sticker there for that one. And then since this one has a saying on it, I think I want to look for something that doesn't have words on it. Oh, this little ornament might work good. I might have to trim a little bit of that, but that's okay. It'll just look like it's hanging off the scallop there. There we go. I'll just trim a little piece off the top. Let me flip that around so I can get the right curve. There we go. So we got one that says, "Good tidings of comfort and joy," because I don't know about you, but coffee brings me comfort. And then I have a little ornament. And there's also plenty of room on here. I'm going to use a little bit of foam tape to add my circles to my box. But there's also plenty of room on here if you wanted to add like a to and from gift tag, or you could make a little to and from area on the back here. And there's plenty of room on the back if you wanted to glue down a blank piece of cardstock so you could write a message. You could almost turn this into a greeting card too, if you wanted to write a little message to them and everything. But I think I'm just going to stick with my original plan. I'm going to add one of my scallops up here on the top, and then I'm going to put my little scallop here on the front. And because I used a plaid paper, I don't think I need to add any more ribbons or anything. I kind of like the simplicity of this. And then of course we need to slip in our K-cups. I actually don't have a Keurig anymore, so I had to dig through my cupboard to find a couple scraggler cups that I still had around to add to this. But this is a great way to give a treat to a friend or a coworker, and I did do it, in two different things, so you don't have to just do it for Christmas. You can do it for year round, and I really like that it has a place for a gift card. If you don't want to give a gift card, if you just want to do the K-cups, just cut a solid sheet of cardstock to put on the top. And then, like I said too, if you don't want to do K-cups, you can leave this solid, add another piece of pattern cardstock, and then I would leave one end open so that they could open it up. Or I'd rather I wouldn't glue this top tab inside so that they could open this up and get whatever treats you want to put in there. But I just like the idea of giving a couple cups of coffee with the gift card. You could do Starbucks or their favorite store. And these are great too for craft fairs. If you make stuff for craft fairs, this would be a great item to give. You could do with or without the gift card holder. A couple of K-cups don't cost that much. And then, like I said, this is just scraps to use to decorate everything. So it really wouldn't cost much. So it should make you a nice profit if you sell these at craft fairs. All right, everyone. Thanks for coming to another video of mine today. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you in the next one.